What would you do if you weren't afraid?
Somebody who's really struggling with self-belief, is there a simple task that people can do to sort of start gaining that back?
Yeah, you have to be clear of your purpose and your goal. You're the captain of your ship and the master of your fate. You got one life to live, and it's a choice you got to make. But in the end, if your belief in yourself is unwavering, you will achieve everything you've dreamed of. I got this. Nobody outworks me. I am the captain of my ship and the master of my fate. When you have a clear sense of purpose, you're not working anymore. You're not dreading getting out of your bed in the morning or opening up your car door in the parking lot and climbing the stairs to get to work. What are you volunteering to do right now? What are you doing in your spare time? What is it that the last time you did something and time just flew by? Oh my gosh, that doesn't even feel like work. You know what? When I have all these other things to do, I usually do this thing first because it just gives me joy. That's how I became a soccer coach. Stop pursuing status, title, and money. Do what you volunteer to do, and success and excellence and the money will come. And I remember dropping out of deciding to go to medical school and said, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I think I'm going to become a soccer coach. Now imagine telling your immigrant parents who've sacrificed everything for you that you want to be a soccer coach. What? You want to what? You want to kick a ball around? But because I never felt like I was working, I read everything about soccer. I watched every video. I studied everything I read. Didn't matter if it was a movie about Lion King, there would be a line there that I could apply. It didn't matter if I was watching a corporate video on Honda about Kaizen and excellence. I thought how I could apply that to soccer. And so by doing and pursuing something that I loved, my passion, I was able to be resilient because this is my passion. It doesn't mean that excellence happened right away. I was able to weather downturns and rejections and all these things because I loved it. And I didn't care about what material wealth or status. And then all of a sudden, I became really good. And in 10 years, I became the highest paid athletic director, the highest paid soccer coach, all because of my pursuit of my purpose. It's hard because, you got families, you got mortgages, you got car payments. It's hard. So in order to pursue your purpose, you've got to recognize it takes courage. And you have to be willing to sacrifice. I had a person who gave up his corporate job and decided to become a coach. And he was making $400,000 a year. And he became my assistant coach for $6,000. And for 5 years, he became an assistant coach because he wanted to learn. Fast forward 10 years later, he's coaching in the MLS, making more money than he did as a corporate person. So I will tell you, yes, I don't want to mislead any folks that are out there. It's scary. Your quality of life in terms of material possessions will probably go down. But your quality of life in terms of health, well-being, stress, hope, optimism, happiness will go way beyond anything you imagined. And I tell you this, the people who pursue hope, optimism, and purpose live way longer lives, have way less stress, recover from injury and surgery quicker than anybody else. So by the time you look at that big house, that mortgage, that fancy car, you got one life to live, and it's a choice you got to make. You have to be clear of your purpose and your goal. What is your goal? Whatever your goal is. And then it's important to recognize, okay, if this is the goal, what are the steps that I really need to do to accomplish that goal? You can't have these goals down, hidden away. They got to be front and center by your mirror, by your computer screen, by your refrigerator, by your work desk, wherever it is, so it's always at the front of your mind. Because if it's not in the front of your mind, something else will creep in there, right? Oh my gosh, my goal is to get this manager job. I got to finish this project. Hey, let's go out to the bar, guys, and party tonight. And I turn and look at my computer, it's like manager by age 25. Who are you surrounding yourself with? equally committed people who have that same drive and discipline and purpose. What are the distractions? Don't spend and wait for them to surprise you. When you set your goal and you set your processes, write down the things that you know that are your slippery slopes. You're the captain of your ship and the master of your fate. Nobody outworks me. When things didn't come quick and easy, and it took me longer, it doesn't matter how hard it is, doesn't matter how long it takes. I'm gonna show up early, I'm gonna stay late, right? When I was being paid so much, everybody wanted, like, why? It's like, nobody outworks me. I don't care how long it takes. I was committed to being the very best. Don't give your power away. So I say this about people who sometimes let critical people, negative people dissuade you from your goals. There's always people out there who are going to tell you you're no good, that you don't have the ability. Are you crazy? That's a terrible idea. Why are you doing that? And all of a sudden, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And as soon as you let them take over, then you've given away your power. And what I mean by that is you've listened to them and you've let them stop you in your tracks. And I'm like, what the heck? Who knows? Do you know? Like, imagine, I remember there's a lady one time that it's like, that's a terrible idea. I don't even know who you are. I just met you. You don't know anything about me. So I don't care what you think, right? That's the way I want you to look at it. Sometimes we think about it as like, oh gosh, yeah, well, you must be an expert. You must be it, yeah. I write myself a self-confidence letter. Right? A letter to myself, my personal brag sheet, all the things I'm amazing at. And sometimes we're like, I got nothing, I don't know. I write it then reach out to your friends. Can you give me 2 things you like about me? Right? Reach out to 4 of your friends and ask for 2 things they love about you in an email and read that to yourself. And what happens when you read that letter is it changes the chemistry in your body, what's called dopamine. So it's not just voodoo. Dopamine is what you call your happiness juice, your accelerant. It makes you feel really good. And when the dopamine is released in your body, you get this rush of endorphins that changes your mood and helps lift you from a downward spiritual cycle. Well, I think the biggest thing people that come to me is they've just experienced failure. And they interpret that failure as the end of the road. They interpret their setback as their doom. And they don't reflect on the failure. And this is what I'm trying to get people to understand, is that failure is part of the process, especially for high performers. I really believe that if you're not failing, then you're staying within a safe zone, then you're not really reaching peak performance. You're not really innovating. In order for you to really move an organization or yourself forward, you have to be willing to stretch and strike out a few times. You have to miss the mark a few times, because it's in that uncomfortableness, that failure, that you then reflect, what am I going to do differently? What do I need to do? That's where the growth happens. Achieving a skill doesn't have to happen immediately. It means not yet. And so one of the things you've got to recognize is that your failure doesn't mean no. Your failure means not yet. So if it means not yet, then what do you mean by that? Well, now what's next? What am I going to try differently? What am I going to adjust? Because that's, if you get to the answer of not yet, then it means, okay, something needs to change. When you get to the answer of no, that means I'm done. And so that's the answer I want you to tell yourself when you fail at something. It's like, okay, not yet. Well, what are the reasons why it wasn't not yet? What could have been possibly? And if you write all those reasons down, if you think about all those reasons, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this. All right. Then you've crossed it off. That doesn't mean it's going to happen again. Dang it still didn't work. Well, I tried this and this and this. Not yet, still. Why? If Gladwell or talks about the 10,000 hour rule, Or J.K. Rowling took what, 12, 15, 20 times to get her book published? Or Edison took thousands of times in a light bulb? Surely I can take more than 1 or 2 times to persist in order to achieve my dreams. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Many of us can't move forward because we have this tremendous fear of failure. And that is about what other people are thinking. When you're worried about failure, it's because you're worried about other people interpreting and looking at you. That's you getting out of your own shame, right? That fear of failure is usually about other people's perceptions. You've put so much weight on what they think and others think. Let go of other people's perceptions of who you are and what you should be, and watch excellence happen.
That hard-working mindset, how do you achieve that? Is that something you've always had?
No, it was not. That's why I failed out of university. I didn't have it. And I can't say, I would love to say, well, I put myself on a goal, right? That was it. For me, what happened was I hit rock bottom, right? All my friends went on to university. All my people were doing really well. And so when I hit rock bottom, then it was about me taking accountability, not blaming the system, not blaming the man or the woman or somebody else doing anything to me, recognizing that I was accountable for my behaviors and my actions. And that's when it started. Okay, if I'm accountable, then what am I going to do to change it? And that's how I started moving into this driven path. I spent a lot of time blaming others, and when you blame others, then you're it's like, okay, whenever I lose a soccer game, I always think about what could I do differently? What was my preparation like? What were the decisions that I made like during the process that I would reflect on and do differently? When you recognize that you are accountable, then you don't feel like you cannot ever achieve success or excellence. Then you recognize it's in your own hands. Recognize, for me, that being accountable means taking ownership over your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your friendship group, your work ethic, all those things. It doesn't mean that somebody else can do whatever. If you're unhappy in your job, you're accountable. Make the decision and find a new job. Right? I got to stay. My boss isn't. No, you're in charge. And so when I talk about accountability, it's not about blaming anybody else. It's that to recognize that you have the power and the influence to change your path, whatever that might look like. The important piece about accountability is really hard is to give yourself grace as well. So don't say, oh, I'm accountable, and then beat yourself up about all the mistakes that you've made. Say that I'm accountable to having a learning growth mindset. I'm accountable to improving my situation. I'm accountable to X, Y, and Z. It doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you're without failing, that you will be like exceptional in everything you do. It means that you're willing to try and try again until the outcome is the one that you deserve. I would say this, if I could go back 20 years ago and start all over again, I would tell myself this. In this journey that you're going to be on, there are going to be some ups, there's going to be some downs. There's going to be some good days and bad days, good months, bad months, and believe it or not, some good years and bad years. But in the end, if your belief in yourself is unwavering, you will achieve everything you've dreamed of. Enjoy the ride.